What's going on, everybody? It's Jeff and Lucas. We're here with Crunch Time to discuss the rumors that have been floating around Twitter and in Lions Twitter. And that is Tyler Boyd, free agent wide receiver. It's been reported now that the Lions are interested in his talents. And so are a couple other teams. And I want to show the article so we can get right to it. And this was on Pride of Detroit. So shout out to those guys, Jeremy Reisman. They do a great job. And it writes here, the Detroit Lions have not brought in any new faces in the wide receiver room this offseason, but it appears they have had at least preliminary interest in one of the top targets who is still out there. According to Mark Kaboly of The Athletic, the Lions were one of the handful of teams that have looked into adding former Cincinnati Bengals wide receiver Tyler Boyd. It writes Boyd has had at least preliminary interest from the Chiefs, Chargers, Dolphins, Lions, and 49ers. Boyd was also being pursued by the Steelers, but per Kaboly, that ship has seemed to sail after the two couldn't agree on contract terms. And then it talks about kind of what he's coming off of, which, again, he's been productive playing with basically two number one wide receivers. And he's a guy that it says here, and I think this is a key part of the whole article. Boyd fit with the Bengals' big slot role, but he has also played reps on the outside. Mm-hmm. And Lucas, I know we talk a lot about Josh Reynolds. We talked about potential replacements that could be through the draft, them addressing that position at 29 or later. And you know how I feel about pick 29. You feel differently about it. We've had discussions. But I'll ask you, is Tyler Boyd a perfect fit, a great fit, kind of after Josh Reynolds departs? What are your thoughts on the possible fit there with Tyler Boyd?
As far as filling Josh Reynolds' shoes and what he was used in for this Detroit Lions offense, I think it's an upgrade. I think it's a fit and it's an upgrade. You look at Josh Reynolds, I think he was a guy that was a wide receiver 2 for the Lions, but he's pretty much, I think, looking around the landscape of the NFL, wide receiver 3. Tyler Boyd, in my opinion, has been a wide receiver 3 in Cincinnati and could have been a wide receiver 2 for a lot of teams. When they didn't have Jamar Chase or T. Higgins, it was the Tyler Boyd show, and he was putting up 1,000-yard seasons playing in the slot and on the outside. But you look at his usage last year, 76% of his snaps were in the slot, which was like second in the NFL. So I don't think he would come into Detroit and be just a pure slot receiver, especially when you look at the height that they have on the outside of Donovan Peoples-Jones. I think he would play on the slot a lot more. But comparing him to Josh Reynolds, I think it's an upgrade, and he would fit perfectly. My only thing, though, is I think there's other teams that are in need of him more and would probably offer him a little bit more money.
That's what it is for me, too. It's the money. I mean, we saw what Josh got. It's a incentive-based contract, 2 years for $14 million. I know it's the salary is not $7 per year, but he got paid to go to Denver and play with the Broncos. Tyler Boyd, it seems like he's being squeezed out there out of the Bengals. And I think he's a productive wide receiver. He's played, again, in a Super Bowl, and he's been productive for a long period of time, and he's used to playing with other great players. And I think the Lions are an interesting, kind of pitch because you get to play in one of the most explosive offenses in the league. You get Jared Goff, say what you want about him, but he's a top 5, top 7 quarterback. And you could go on and Amon-Ra St. Brown, number 1 receiver, Laporta. Like Tyler Boyd, it's going to be hard to focus on him. I'll just say that. So he's not going to be, under as much pressure to get open. He'll just get open naturally. And you got Amon-Ra and Laporta who are going to take, and Jameson Williams, who's emerging now, to kind of take the pressure off of him. Something he was used to, not to the same level, but with T. Higgins and Jamar Chase. So I like the Lions as a great fit. The question I have, Lucas, is what does the contract look like? Because if the Steelers couldn't agree with the deal for him, I wonder what the number is. That would be my biggest question, is how much is he asking for? Because I still believe, and I know you feel this way, that wide receiver, especially with this class and how deep it is, it could be addressed in less than a month.
Right.
So where are you at with the adding Tyler Boyd versus drafting a receiver? Because I like Tyler. He's proven, which is something that's important, and he's used to playing with other great players. And I think he's a great receiver for Jared Goff. It would be a perfect possession type of guy. But does that also take out the possibility of a receiver at early in the draft, even at pick 29?
I definitely think if you sign Tyler Boyd, yes, it takes at least at 29, probably the first 3 rounds. You go defense and then offensive line, even safety before you'd even go wide receiver. That doesn't mean that you don't get a Luke McCaffrey or Anthony Gold. Like there's somebody that Brad's going to be looking at in the 5th or 6th round to add depth. I mean, he did it last year with Antoine Green in the 7th. So a receiver would still probably be added. But money-wise, I think you'd be commanding somewhere like the 7 to 8, even probably like the $7 to $10 million range. Like if you look at the Chargers, they have Quentin Johnston and Josh Palmer. Those guys are great deep threats. They don't have anybody that can be that security blanket through all 3 levels of the field for Justin Herbert like Tyler Boyd. So I could see the Chargers be willing to overspend. The Steelers, they're not a team that goes out there and spends crazy money. They kind of are more financially like they're very frugal, like just like Brad Holmes. So if he's not signing there, I think it'd be even more unlikely that he signs with Detroit. To your point.
Yeah, and he would have an opportunity to come play, not on the same side of the ball, but with his former teammate DJ Reader. You get two Bengals. So I think Detroit is not slowly, but it is more of an attractive free agency destination, especially for offensive players, because of the coordinator they have, the offense, the personnel they have, and also the head coach they have. And I just think it, especially for Tyler Boyd, who's kind of at a point in his career now where he wants to go contend and chase a Super Bowl. He was in the AFC. He knows how it is to go up against Patrick Mahomes. He gets that. So this time you get a chance to go join the Detroit Lions in the NFC. And the NFC, I don't think anybody would deny, is a more of a interesting opportunity for him to specifically join the Detroit Lions. So that's kind of how I feel about it, Lucas. I think the Lions, just with them being contenders in the NFC, they're one of the best teams. If he's not signing with the Eagles or the 49ers, it's the Lions. Like they're the most intriguing. And he saw what Josh Reynolds was able to do. You can't tell me Tyler Boyd can't be a better version of Josh Reynolds. So to me, it just comes down to the contract. That's really all it is.
Yeah, it's I don't think there's any question to your point. Like he is a better wide receiver than Josh Reynolds. Tyler Boyd's worst year outside of the injury, I believe he suffered right before they got Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, is Josh Reynolds' best year. He hasn't had a year under 600 yards in the last 4 seasons, and that's being the wide receiver 3 there. So I just think he's a complete upgrade. He's exactly what Josh Reynolds brought, but a little bit better. I think he can run through all 3 levels of the field better as a receiver. He's not going to be the blocker that Josh Reynolds was, but they got Sam Laporta, they got Jahmyr Gibbs. They have enough guys that they can make up for that just with the playmaking that they have. So I just do think it would be a great signing, but to your point, you look at the Chiefs. That's a team that's in the same level as the Lions as far as Super Bowl contention, if not favored more. They need a receiver. The Ravens could use a receiver. The 49ers, all of them could use a Tyler Boyd type of player, like how we talk about Josh Reynolds. And even like the fact that LA that just got Jim Harbaugh, Justin Herbert, and they're looking for a wide receiver. They need a wide receiver, and they're in the same competition as the Lions. I think that speaks volumes to what's going on in Detroit. And the fact that it's a real situation, a real likelihood that it could happen speaks to how much the times have changed as well, to your point.
Yeah, and I want to hear what you guys think. Please comment down below. Is Tyler Boyd a realistic option, or do you think Brad Holmes will end up pulling the trigger and signing someone like Tyler Boyd? To me, and we'll just end it here with our final conclusion, we're both down, Lucas. It just matters what's the contract look like. I think that we both kind of agree there. Ain't no denying he's an upgrade over Josh Reynolds. But please comment down below. Subscribe if you haven't already. We're trying to reach 6,000 subscribers, and we're slowly on our way. So please do that. Turn on notifications. You get notified every time we post. And leave a like because it helps. It pushes the video out in the algorithm and helps support the fellows. We're also live weekdays, 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. So check us out then. Thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time.